Quý vị đang theo dõi chương trình Tài chánh của đài Little Saigon TV. Chúng tôi đang bàn với bác sĩ Van Atten, bác sĩ Sora và ông Berry về chương trình cancer tại bệnh viện UCI, trường đại học UCI và cái cơ quan tổ chức thiện nguyện gọi là Cure It về vấn đề cancer. Mục đích chúng tôi là cho quý vị biết về cái chứng bệnh này cũng như là cái số người bị chết rất là nhiều, nhất là trong cộng đồng Việt Nam của mình, và hình thức để quý vị có thể giúp đỡ những cơ quan này. Dr. Sora, we were talking about like UCI expanding like centers around the county, the state, the country, or just the county, around the country. Are there any programs or are there any existing centers here in Little Saigon that serve our community here?
So I think Dr. Van Etten explained quite well. UCI specifically owned and operated hospitals and clinics and services. What I'm responsible for as part of the Cancer Center is to build partnerships with the existing other centers, so we're talking about hospitals, clinics, and community organizations, in order to ensure that the research that we are doing gets pushed out and accessible to all, including the most important Vietnamese community in all of the United States. So we partner, for example, with local clinics. I noticed just around the corner is Southland Integrated Services, for instance, and also local community organizations, for example, the Vietnamese American Cancer Foundation. And together we conduct what I call population research, which means how do we ensure that the guidelines and best practices are actually practiced and benefiting the Vietnamese community.
Are there any program that you are working with like local hospitals? Because I know that when somebody from the Vietnamese community having cancer, you know, they have to, there are only two hospitals they go to. Initially, Fountain Valley Hospital and then Orange Coast Hospital. Are there any programs for the UCI to work with them?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. So I'm primarily a population researcher, so I would say that we already work with many of the hospitals to try and understand. So the question we ask is, how can we increase and improve cancer prevention and cancer early detection, for instance, in the Vietnamese community? And so then we partner with hospitals such as those that you mentioned. We don't have a particular partnership right now, for instance, with Fountain Valley, but in a research study that we are conducting, they have agreed to let their doctors know about it. In this case, we're trying to understand what the needs are of Vietnamese women who are newly diagnosed with breast cancer. And so we know Fountain Valley is a very important place that they go for their testing and diagnosis. And so we have extended invitations out and told them about this research with the hope that they will refer patients to this study.
What are the greatest needs in the Asian community in terms of cancer research and access?
Thank you for that question. Cancer is the #1 cause of death for Asian Americans, including Vietnamese, in this country. And so the needs are really around prevention, early detection, and access to quality treatment. I would say, we know the Vietnamese population here in Orange County is the largest in the country. And because there are over 200,000, it really becomes very complex. So we've got culture, right? There's a stigma against cancer. And how do we communicate and increase screening, for example, when we know that people are reticent to actually learn that they have cancer? There are logistical issues, like where do they actually go? And do their providers speak Vietnamese? And then once they're diagnosed with cancer, what do they do? And how are they supported through that experience to undergo treatment and then ideally survive the healthiest possible?
And how is UCI leading the way into addressing the issue of cancer, in particular in general population of Orange County, but also in the Asian community?
Well, here I'd like to highlight the wonderful gift from the Curate Foundation. Because with money that they are giving, we are actually trying to reinitiate screenings. We know the COVID-19 pandemic has really affected our Asian and Latino communities beyond just COVID. So for example, research, not conducted by me, but nationally, has found in 1 year, 10 million people went without cancer screenings. That's an enormous amount of people to be able to catch up with. And so with this gift from Curate, we're actually now starting to devise ways of communicating to doctors and to patients about the importance of coming back into the clinic and getting rescreened. And this may seem easy, it's not sexy, it doesn't involve laboratories or, but it's sort of that critical population research. And we're so indebted to the Curate Foundation for being able to allow us to innovate and experiment with ways to increase population knowledge.
So is cancer screening still a problem of rich and poor? Mm-hmm. I mean, mm-hmm. I know that people having money or health insurance, every year insurance companies send out letters and reminding you gotta go do this and do that. But for like many poor people, especially in the Vietnamese community and those who just came here, lacking access of screening, how do you address that?
That's exactly right. I mean, I think the main problem we have is an issue of access to actually the services. Interestingly enough, even people who qualify for certain kinds of programs don't know it. And so if they're poor, they may not have Medi-Cal, and they may be eligible for it. So it takes a multi-pronged approach. First is education to the patients and the providers. Next is to work collaboratively with the clinics and hospitals to ensure that we are getting patients signed up for health insurance or for other programs that they qualify for. And then even then, people need to be motivated to come in and to get screened. And that's what we're actually testing with Curate. We're actually going to be testing different messages about how to motivate people in the Vietnamese community to come back for their screenings.
Talk overall about the Asian population, but like for poor people in Orange County, other Vietnamese community, access to transportation is also a problem too. So have you ever considered like mobile screening center? I mean, you might have that before, but right here in Little Saigon, encouraging people to come over and have the breast screening or whatever.
Yeah, so that's part of the multi-pronged approach, right? So one of the things that we do is try and ensure that anyone who's interested in screening gets access nearby. And it doesn't only have to be mobile. Mobile is nice because someone can just pull up to a beauty salon and do a breast cancer screening. And we have done that in the past. But what's more important is to ensure that they also come into the clinic, because there's follow-up that needs to happen depending on the diagnosis. Then there's referral to other kinds of specialty care that Dr. Van Enten, for example, referred to. So those kinds of approaches are all part of our toolkit, but the most important part is to ensure that the patients are accessing their primary care providers.
Thank you. Dr. Van Enten, we heard that UCI is building a state-of-the-art center at the school or at the hospital. Can you share with us about that center?
Yes. So there are really two parts of it, as I mentioned earlier. There will be an outpatient cancer building, if you will, the southern branch of the Chao Family Comprehensive Cancer Center. It's going to be twice the size of the building we currently have in Orange, and it will have the full-fledged of all cancer services, like I said, radiation oncology, clinics, and chemotherapy infusion space, and also clinical research. We will have all our clinical trials open at that site. Right across the way from that will be the new specialty hospital, and that's where cancer patients will go if they need to be hospitalized. That hospital will have emergency rooms. It will also have surgery suites and procedure suites. So it's going to be a full-fledged hospital, but it will be focused on just a couple of areas, including cancer. That will actually be the new home for our bone marrow transplant program when it opens in 2025.
Thank you. We're coming toward the end of this program, so if I would ask you, Doctor, each to say a few words with the audience before we end the program.
Sure. I'll just start off and just reiterate what Dr. Chanchasiri said, that serving our community, particularly our Asian patients in the community, and particularly the Vietnamese population in the community, is a very important part of the mission for us as an NCI Cancer Center. And we want to hear from you about how we can better serve you, and that's part of SORA's job, is to facilitate that communication.
Thank you. Dr. Sora?
I just, number one, want to stress the importance of cancer prevention and early detection. I know COVID has been really hard for families, for parents, for children, and there's nothing more important right now than to ensure that people continue to be healthy moving forward. So, you know, reduce smoking or don't smoke, increase physical activity, and get screened for cervical, breast, colorectal, and prostate cancers.
Xin cảm ơn quý vị và xin hẹn quý vị vào chương trình kỳ tới. Chúng tôi sẽ nói chuyện thêm với lại hai vị bác sĩ cũng như là ông Todd Perry về chương trình ung thư của trường bệnh viện UCI và cái trung tâm thiện nguyện gọi là Cure It tại Orange County. Xin kính chào quý vị.